Hey, Doreen, you know that escape that happened?
Yeah.
Were you around at the time?
Oh, of course I was. I was in it.
You were?
Yeah. You see, we got out through this tunnel that led into the cellars, and the roof collapsed. I hurt my leg. I still get a twinge every now and again, but I was lucky I didn't have to have it off.
Really? Hey, that must have been exciting.
No, it was scary, really.
Oh, well, could you, tell me about it?
Sure, if you're interested.
Yeah, I am.
Well, Lizzie was the first one with the idea, so she found this book that was all about Wentworth about 100 years ago.
If she's a first-timer, I'm Father Christmas.
What do you reckon? You think she's working for the screws?
I don't know. All of them I spoke to said the same thing. They reckon that she asked questions about you and the escape.
Me?
Yeah. Now, like I said, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if our Miss Hamilton is working for the police. If she's not a plant, I'll walk to Burke in my bikini.
Well, that'll give the cow cockies a couple of things to think about.
Yeah, and stampede the cattle, too, I'll bet.
Yeah, anyway, listen. If Hamilton is a plant, we want to make very sure that she doesn't get any information out of us that we don't want her to, all right? Yeah. And there's one sure way of doing that. We send her to Coventry. And that means no one, and I mean no one, says a word to her about anything. Now, is that clear? Yes.
Yeah. What's up?
Well, B reckons that Sandra's been sent in here to spy on us, so we're going to send her to Birmingham.
Coventry.
And what do we know about her? Practically nothing.
Well, I do admit that she's been asking a few questions, but I thought that was just because she was interested in what was going on in the place.
Yeah, too interested.
She been on at you too?
Oh, well, she's asked me a few questions, but I wouldn't call it pumping me.
What sort of questions?
About the escape.
About me?
Yeah, sort of.
Bloody hell!
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I just thought she was being friendly.
Remember, not another word.
So this is where all the action is?
Some of us are going to watch this movie. So let's just have a bit of shush. Huh?
Oh, God, not that one again. They must have played this one 3 times in the last couple of months. What you knitting?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Anyone want a game of cards?
14,
or a chat?
16, 18, 22, 24.
I don't think I can really cope with all this excitement. Might as well go write some letters.
Write some letters. I bet at least one of them starts off, Dear Superintendent.
Oh, I'm sure I'm not going to have enough wool to finish these. I'm going to have to wait until the buy-up now.
Oh, I got some wool you can have, honey.
Oh, terrific, Jude. You sure you don't need it?
Well, I need it. I got no one to knit for. I'll go and get it for you.
Oh, thanks.
Poor old Jude. She's not back to her old self.
No. I think it's going to take quite a while for her to get over what happened to her on the run.
Oh, Mr. Fletcher.
What is it, Hamilton?
I'd like to make my telephone call, please.
Can't it wait till morning?
No, it can't wait. I'd like to make it now. My boyfriend works early and I'd be liable to miss him.
Well, it's a bit late and I'm on my rounds.
Oh, I thought it would be an ideal time. Besides, I don't remember reading anything in the regulations about time limitations. May I make my call?
All right, but keep it brief. Since you know your regulations so well, you know how much time you're allowed.
I certainly do, Mr. Fletcher.
Sid'll be in tomorrow. Hope we have a chance for a bit of a chin wag.
Oh, hello, young lovers.
Oh, shut up, B. You know there's nothing like that.
Oh, I don't know, the fire alarm may not be out. Perhaps it just needs a bit of stoking up. Talking about young lovers, have a gander at Madame Defarge over here.
Huh?
Madame Defarge. She'd sit in the front row of the crowd during the French Revolution, right by the guillotine, and knit like mad while they cut people's heads off.
Oh, how'd you know that?
I saw it once in a movie. It's the only thing I know about the French Revolution. That's all I remember, probably because it was so bloodthirsty. As the heads rolled off the block into the basket, she used to knit away like mad and cackle. Blood, blood, blood.
Oh, knock it off, B. me nightmares.
Oh, bugger it. Where's your torch, Bea?
Over here, why?
I want to finish these tonight.
Oh, don't be a nut. You'll flatten my batteries.
Quit griping. If I flatten them, I'll replace them.
Good night, Dor.
Good night.
Night, Bea.
Pleasant dream.
Oh, knock it off, Bea! Did you get any sleep at all, love?
Oh, not much. But at least I finished them.
Big deal. So the teacher gets a crummy pair of socks and I get a pair of flat torch batteries.
Well, I'm sorry, Bea. I said if they ran out, I'd replace them. Anyway, I just had to get these finished for today.
Thanks.
All right, showers.
Come on, move along. Back to yourselves and get ready for breakfast. Hurry up, Burns. Hamilton, shake a leg.
Oh,
Young, Cavelli, cut that out. You're not a couple of school kids, you know.
Now's our chance. Why don't we just race in there and hold her under the hot tap for a while?
Haven't you heard if you overwater plants, it sometimes kills them?
That'd be a shame.
Listen, just be patient. It's not as though this is the first time we've handled this sort of problem.
Yeah, well, I'm getting sick of her asking me all those questions. I try to forget the past, and she keeps reminding me of it.
Don't you worry, love. At least she knows we're on to her. All we got to do is keep our guard up.
Yeah, well, there's one guy that's going to be up in the air if we don't get going. Come on, Doreen, are you coming or not?
Yeah, I'll be a couple of minutes. You go on and I'll catch
God,
up.
you're as slow as a wet weekend. You know, if you got more sleep last night, you'd be a whole lot brighter this morning.
Hi.
Hi. Thought I'd been sent to Coventry.
Oh, I was just wondering if you were going to go to the education centre this morning.
Well, I hadn't exactly planned on it. Still trying, are you?
Oh, no, it's just that I'm the only one that's really interested and I'm not allowed to be in there. Well, what I meant was, I'd like to have a bit of company. Why don't you come? It'd be really interesting.
Well, I'm not exactly cherishing the idea of spending a day being ignored, and you're the only person who seems to be friendly, so why not?
Oh, that's great. Oh, I won't be able to let the others see us talking together, you understand?
I understand. Are you two still in here? Come on, move along.
I'm just leaving. You let me get up the corridor a bit first, OK?
So that's the kitchen and dining room roster for the afternoon shift. Now, is anyone interested in attending classes this morning?
Yes, I'd like to. Shoot.
Anyone else? Oh, surprise, surprise. Burns. Adams. All right, off to breakfast, all of you. Well, go on, hurry up.
Good morning, Mr. Andrews.
Morning.
I've got 3 for you this morning.
3? Well, that's an improvement. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for coming. Take a seat. I'm sure you'll find these courses very interesting and worthwhile. Now, before we start...
Excuse me, Mr. Andrews, can I speak to you about something in private?
Doreen, if you don't mind, I'd like to settle these 2 ladies onto something rather than have them sitting around with nothing to do.
Yeah, but...
Now, if you'd like to have a look through this, it'll show you the kinds of courses available. At the back, it asks you a few questions which I'd like you to answer. Now, this will give me an idea of what course you might be interested in and what value it would be to you. Okay?
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm glad you decided to come. I'd just like to get an idea of your background and where we could help you the most. Now, how far did you go in your schooling?
Just scraped through my HSC.
Did you want to go on?
No, not really. I didn't have the brains or the inclination, and the family were very poor, so I had to go out to work.
What sort of work did you do?
Clerical, yeah, and typing, stuff like that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Andrews, but I really do have to speak to you about something real important and I can't wait.
All right, Doreen, what is it?
Well, it's sort of private. Can we go over there?
All right. Just have a look through this brochure and let me know what you think of it. Yes.
Well, I wanted to give you these. I stayed up all last night to finish them, and I had to work with a torch after lights out.
You shouldn't have done that.
Don't you like them?
Well, yes, I do. I think they're great. But I'm not supposed to accept gifts.
Oh, well, that's all right. No one else has to know.
Well, thanks, Doreen. Thanks a lot. But this must be the last time. If you get caught, you could get into a lot of trouble. And so could I. Thanks, Doreen. Just take a seat there. Take that with you.
Good morning, Mr. Andrews. I thought I'd call in and see how you're getting along.
Oh, fine, thanks. I wouldn't mind a few more pupils, but that might take a while.
Yes, well, that will be up to you, won't it? If the classes are interesting and the women realize the value they'll be when they're released, I'm sure the attendance will improve.
Yeah, I don't think the surroundings are exactly conducive to absorbing new ideas.
Yes, they are rather drab, aren't they? Why don't we see what we can do about getting some funding to brighten the place up a bit?
Oh, that'd be marvellous. Sid's already offered to help.
Oh, that's good. I must say it's nice to have a man about the place.
Oh, for crying out loud, why don't you watch where the hell you're going? You think I enjoy folding and stacking these bloody things all day long?
Oh, don't worry, love. I'll help you.
I'll do it myself. Oh, listen, I'm sorry. It's just that everything's getting on top of me at the moment. When I was on the outside, it drove me crazy, and it's driving me crazy in here. Everything I try to do goes wrong somehow.
What are you talking about? Look how you helped us when you were on the outside.
Yeah, well, fat lot of good that did, didn't it? All I ended up doing was making myself out to be a liar and a fool.
Well, at least you tried, and that's what it's important.
Well, I'll tell you what I should have done. I should have headed for the hills and disappeared when I had the chance instead of trying to fight a system that can't be beaten.
Maybe. But what it did show was that you weren't just looking after yourself. When you got the chance, you thought of your friends first. And don't forget, it was you that finally put that bastard Jock Stewart where he belongs.
Yeah. Well, at least that helped settle the score for Sharon. Doesn't bring her back, though.
Yeah, well. Hey, I wonder why our mystery woman went to the centre today.
Well, I couldn't care less. At least it gets her out of my hair for a while.
Maybe she's woken up the fact that we're on to her. Or maybe she's got the message that we're not speaking to her, so she decided to stop snooping.
Oh, I doubt it. Doreen went to classes again today, didn't she? Maybe she thinks that she can get something out of Doreen when it's around.
Doreen wouldn't do that. Not after you told her to keep her trap shut last night.
Yeah, well, she better not. Trouble with Doreen is, though, she so loves to go with that damn teacher she could blab her head off without even thinking about it.
All right, who's on trolley duty today? There's still a load to be picked up from the examination room.
Oh, I am, Mr. Fletcher. I'm just on my way now. Hey, Mr. Fletcher, have you seen Sid? The wheels on this trolley need oiling.
No, I haven't. You know, I don't know how we ever got on without him. I've never known so many things to go wrong at the same time.
Because the equipment in this joint is older than me.
And she lives on her own, so I'm a bit worried about her. I was wondering if I could make a quick phone call.
Oh, yes, that's quite understandable. Let's go to reception, see what we can work out.
It's called the Modern Living course, and it covers fairly basic information about what most people would think of as ordinary day-to-day occurrences. You know, like budgeting, how to operate a bank account, government departments, social services, and how they can help. It's all set out very simply, so that they can understand it clearly.
Well, it certainly sounds like a lot of work. I only hope you get the return you're expecting. You've got to realize that these women are losers. They always have been, and they always will be. They don't want to change. They're perfectly happy drifting along from one disaster to another because they're used to it.
Well, you've had a lot more experience with them than I have, and you could be right. But I hope not. Maybe they're too used to the old approach. Maybe a new face on the scene might make them curious enough to find out what I'm up to. At this stage, all I want is the chance to try.
Well, I certainly admire your enthusiasm. And as you say, a new face around the place may at least get them interested.
I think they'll learn to appreciate what I'm trying to do. You know what happened to me this morning?
What?
Doreen stayed up all night to knit these for me. She's coming to classes every morning, and she's really showing an interest. If she talks about it to the others, they may follow suit.
Are you sure it's not just you she's interested in?
No, she's over that now. We had a talk this morning, and I made it pretty clear.
Well, it's a pity your course doesn't cover knitting. She could do with some lessons by the look of these. Well, I've got to go and supervise your budding students at lunch. Just remember, the women in here don't get much of a chance to see young men at close range. And if it comes to a toss between learning and their more basic instincts, I think I know which one will win.
Well, if you hear me yell rape, come running.
How's safe should a bicycle be? How should it be equipped for use? Draft a regulation or rule to cover your ideas for day and night use.
Oh, Burns. I was just saying to Mr. Andrews that I don't think there's much point in your attending his classes. If those socks are any indication of your abilities, it's going to take you another 20 years to pick up anything worthwhile.
Yeah, well, I was coming back from getting that wool for Doreen. I overheard Sandy asking Fletch if she could make a phone call.
That's funny. She made another one just before lunch today.
Well, that's 2 in 2 days. Smacks of special treatment, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, it was obvious from the way she was talking to him. She knew the regulations. Now, that's a bit much for a first-timer, don't you think?
You know, I reckon it's about time we dropped a hint to the screws that we're onto her. Hang on. Hey, Lil.
I better go and find Dora and see if she's all right. She was right behind me in the rec room when we was going to lunch and she never turned up.
Yeah, I'll wait for B.
Oh, Dora! What's the matter, love?
Oh, Lizzie, I've gone and made a bloody fool of myself again. I thought he really cared about me. And then he went and told Vinegar Tits of all people. I bet they had a real beaut laugh about it too.
Oh, Vera and that teacher bloke.
Yeah, she knew all about the socks and she said how rotten they were. He must have told her the whole thing. And it was supposed to be a secret. Oh, God, I hate him. And he can stick his bloody stinking glasses. I'll never go back there again.
Well, there's another score to settle. It's going to be a busy day, isn't it? Lizzie, you and I are going to go to those classes this afternoon.
Well, for better or for worse, there are the rosters. It's a bit like working on a giant-sized crossword puzzle.
Oh, Dad, it's your job and not mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I see there are a lot of double shifts again.
Yes, well, I can't help it. That's what took so long. Why the hell didn't the department send us another senior officer instead of that dewy-eyed teacher?
I take it you're not impressed.
Yes, well, you could say that. If I had an officer to spare, I'd have one in the classroom with him just to watch him. He's all enthusiasm and no experience.
Well, after talking to him this morning, I don't agree. I think he's a very clever young man. He's already started to adapt some of his previous ideas, and I think they're very worthwhile and workable.
Ah, yes, well, we'll see. But I tell you, if he makes one false move, the women will have him for breakfast.
Come in. Well, I must say how pleased I am to see such an improved attendance this afternoon. If you'd all like to sit down, I'll explain some of the courses available, and then we'll make a start. Sit down. Well, first of all, I'd like to talk about a course called Modern Living.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes?
Before we start, we'd just like to get a few of the rules clear.
Such as?
As we're going to be working so closely together, it's possible you might pick up the odd bit of personal information about us, right?
Yes, I suppose so. Why?
Well, we just want to know if you're going to pass those bits of personal information over to the screws. The same way you did with Doreen Burns, and at present she sat up all night knitting for you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, come off it. I bet you and Vera had a damn good laugh over the way Doreen feels about you and the funny little present she made for you. Now, you're not going to deny that, are you?
I most certainly do deny that. That's not what happened at all. It was a very kind and thoughtful gesture. That's why I mentioned it to Miss Bennett. I certainly didn't ridicule Doreen or her motives. She is the only loyal supporter of the school.
Well, as you can see, she isn't any longer.
Yes, well, Doreen was a little confused about our relationship because I took a bit of notice of her and tried to help her. That's my job. I thought I'd explain that to her.
And you didn't lead her on?
No, of course not. And if that's why you're all here this afternoon, then we're all just wasting our time. You might as well all go back to your usual jobs and leave the classes for those who want to get a bit more out of their lives.
Okay, Teach. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt this time. Go on, improve our lousy lives. God knows they couldn't be any worse than they are already.
Right. Well, I'd like to start us off by having a game which is a little like Monopoly. Only instead of the usual game, we're going to use our money to work out budgets for different kinds of households. This is to enable us to use our available finances to the best effect.
Hey, better listen to this, Lizzie. Might teach you how to get more value for your money out of the buy-ups.
Exactly. So you see, you're not going to learn something that you might not ever use. The whole idea of this course is designed to make it easier for us to understand how to deal with day-to-day problems.
Hey, can I be the banker?
I think that'd be a great idea.
Oh, illusions of grandeur already. This whole area has to be mopped and cleaned thoroughly. And make sure you get right into all the corners. I'll be back to check it. Hamilton, what happened to you?
Oh, nothing. I must have been a bit clumsy. I slipped on a wet patch.
Are you sure?
Yeah. So I hit my head, I think. I'm fine. I'll live. What's the matter? You think I've been mugged, did you?
So, you owe the bank $134 for your mortgage, plus the bank fees of $13.40. Oh, we're out of change. How'd you like to invest the 60 cents change in our new scheme at 9.5% interest? Whatever that means. Well, you'll just have to take a cheque. Bloody money grubber.
Hey, Lizzie, how about a loan of a couple of hundred till tomorrow?
Bank's closed.
Oh, crikey.
Well, what do you think? Will I see you tomorrow?
I don't know. I'll have to check with my private secretary to see if I can fit you in. Okay. Tell you one thing, though. Beats working in the laundry.
Oh, I reckon it's beaut. I'm going to have a word with Dora and see if she can't change her mind about not coming back.
Oh, thanks, Lizzie. I look forward to seeing all of you again. Soon.
Hey, what's the matter, Hamilton?
Oh, nothing. I'm fine. Hamilton had an accident in the showers this morning.
Well, what happened?
Well, she says she slipped on the wet floor and hit her head.
Hamilton? That's right. I was a bit clumsy.
You better go to the examination room and get checked out.
Oh, no.
Look, if you've hit your head, you could have concussion.
Mrs. Knox, would you mind taking Hamilton to the examination room?
I'll be fine.
You heard Mrs. Morris. Go to the examination room and no argument. All right?
But I can assure you it'll just be a waste of time.
And Hamilton, if you happen to have any more accidents, I expect you to report them.
You don't seem entirely convinced it was an accident.
You noticed how the other women have been treating her lately?
It's a bit offhandedly, but she's only new. Maybe they're just a bit wary.
They've sent her to Coventry. Now, why?
Well, they're always playing games amongst themselves, but that doesn't mean to say they had her bashed.
You know the pattern in here? Either conform and buckle under or pay the consequences.
She's a strange girl. There's something about her that just doesn't quite fit.
Well, I think she bears watching. The last thing we need is another accident like Kay White had.
Just saw Sandy coming out of the medical examination room. She was pretty shaky on her pins.
Wonder why. Any reaction from the screws?
That's just the point. Not a word.
Nothing at all.
I would have thought there would have been some kerfuffle, huh?
At least.
Maybe she didn't tell them.
Well, maybe she did tell them they're not doing anything about it for a while.
Oh, why would they do that?
Who knows? Listen, everybody. We're going to change our tactics. This time we're going to get Hamilton talking and we are going to do the pumping, and I want to know everything there is to know about her.
I wish to God you'd make up your mind. I'm flat out trying to remember who I talk to and who I don't.
You'll encourage her to do the talking and talk about herself, and let me know if you learn anything.
Well, I think it's a whole bloody big waste of time.
If she is a plant, you've got as much to lose as anybody else, and you just shut up and do as you're told.
Oh, you're back already. How are the classes?
Not bad. What happened to you? You look awful. Did you slip down in the showers or something?
You've heard already. Yes, I guess I must have trodden on a piece of soap. Over I went.
What you need is a nursemaid.
No, I don't need a nursemaid. What I need is someone to talk to. Feel like telling me why you've all decided to give me the cold shoulder all of a sudden?
Ah, we always do that to newcomers until we find out whether they're all right or not, especially the ones that ask too many questions.
Look, I only did that because I'd seen Judy on the TV. I was beginning to think it was my deodorant. I mean, the only one who'd talked to me was Vera Bennett, and that was to give me dirty jobs. Well, have you decided yet?
I have, and that's what counts. He'll do.
Where'd he come from, Sandy?
Bentley.
I thought you said you came from Sydney.
No. I said I'd stayed in Sydney back in '73. Been looking for work, but it's a hell of a lonely place if you haven't any friends.
What place isn't?
Yeah, right, like here. I mean, they put me in this tiny cell all by myself, going crazy for company, someone to talk to.
You can still get lonely even when you've only got women to share with.
Yeah, but it's certainly better than nothing. I mean, what do you think, Judy? You don't share with anyone?
I don't know, because it's better than sharing with someone you don't like.
Yeah. Still, I think you and I get on just fine if we got to know each other.
It just seems such a shame that for all the effort he's putting into it, he'll get so little in return.
Oh, it's early days yet. Besides, the roll-up this afternoon was a great improvement on what it has been, I hear.
Oh, the women are just curious, that's all. Do you really think they care about trying to improve their minds? All they're really interested in is the fact that he's a man and trying to work out how they can use him.
Well, I can't exactly blame them. He is a very attractive man.
Oh, don't tell me the brand new bride is looking around already.
One at a time is all I can handle. Actually, I was thinking of you. Now, if you played your cards right...
You know I don't approve of relationships between the staff.
Hi, how's everything going?
Oh, great, just great.
Well, that's an improvement.
Yes, things really started to get going this afternoon. And I didn't get raped once.
Oh, don't give up hope. The day's but young. Well, I must be off.
Where's the best shopping centre near here? I've got to get a few bits and pieces.
Well, I'll be going down tomorrow at lunchtime. Well, you can come with me if you like.
Oh, it's a date.
Oh, Mrs. Morris.
What is it, Lizzie?
You know what's happened to City was supposed to be here today.
I'm sorry, I haven't heard anything.
Oh.
Well, maybe you got held up on some other job.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Come in.
Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Davidson. Hamilton would like to see you.
All right, Mrs. Powell, show her in.
Right?
Oh, I'm sorry to bother you, Mrs. Davidson, but I was wondering if there's any chance of being moved to another cell.
This is not a hotel, Hamilton. We can't move the guests around just because they don't like the view.
I know that, and ordinarily I wouldn't ask. It's just...
Well?
It sounds so silly when you put it into words.
Hamilton, I have a lot of work to get through, so...
I get lonely.
I see. Well, all of the women get lonely from time to time.
But they have someone to share with, you know, some company, someone to talk to, and that's all I ask.
I'll look into it and see if it's possible.
Well, Judy Bryant, she's in a double cell, and there's no one with her, and...
I said I would look into it.
Don't bother to knock. Now, what the hell's going on here?
Got yourself a guest?
I don't want to share. I'm perfectly happy on my own. Please, Mrs. Powell, can't she go somewhere else?
Well, I'm afraid it really isn't up to you or me. Anyhow, you've been on your own too long now. The company will do you good.
I like being on my own. I want to see the governor. Mrs. Powell.
Quiet, Bryant.
Well, you never let up, do you? Now, how did you manage this little trick?
Oh, come on, Jude. It wasn't a trick.
How did you manage it?
I asked the governor.
Did it ever occur to you to ask me first?
What was all that commotion?
Just Bryant exercising her considerable lungs.
What about?
She's just been assigned a new cellmate, and apparently the choice of partner is not to her taste.
Who's gone in with her?
Hamilton.
I wonder why Mrs. Davidson did that.
Oh, actually, it wasn't her idea. It was Hamilton's. Apparently, she felt lonely all by herself in a single cell.
Maybe Vera was right.
What about?
Well, Hamilton had an accident earlier on in the showers. I had to send her off to the examination room. Vera thinks that maybe she didn't have an accident, but it could have been a deliberate bashing.
And I take it Hamilton didn't report it.
Oh, do they ever? I can quite see the sense in her asking to go in with Bryant, though. Use her as a protector.
Well, I think she's picked the wrong one. The way Bryant was behaving, I'd say if anybody wanted to bash Hamilton, Bryant would join in.
I'd love to know what they've got against her.
Oh, Meg, who knows with that lot? Always tensions lurking under the surface. Oh, better go and get the little darlings mustard for dinner. A handful of tranquilizers and the tea urn wouldn't go astray tonight.
I asked Mrs. Jackson what had happened to Sid, but she said he was probably working somewhere else. But he told me there wasn't much work outside here, he told me.
Ah, for crying out loud, will you lay off it? He doesn't have to ask your permission every time he doesn't want to turn up to work, does he?
No, of course not, but he told me he'd be here, and he wouldn't have said that if he's working somewhere else.
Well, maybe it's something that came up suddenly.
Oh, something that took him all night and all day, stopped him from even ringing in.
Well, you know what I reckon, Lizzie? I reckon he was picked up by a big blonde harlot who took him home last night. And when he woke up this morning, he was so weak he couldn't walk. But he remembered he'd promised to come out here to see you, so he started crawling on his hands and knees. And by now, he should be doing a slow right-hand turn into Burke Road.
Well, I wouldn't care so much about the harlot as long as I knew Sid was all right.
Look, would you two shut up and go to bed? I'm trying to get some sleep.
Hark at the midnight knitter over here. You kept me awake all last night with your click-clicking.
Drop it, Bea. I know I've been a fool, but I'll get even with him.
No, you won't. I reckon he was right. And I reckon you were so keen on him that when he tried to explain it to you, you didn't listen.
Oh, sure.
Anyway, I want those classes to go on, so don't you go doing anything that's going to get him into trouble.
Oh, now I get the picture. He's got to you, too. Wonder how long it'll be before he starts working his way through the screws.
Oh, come on. There was nothing devious in it. It was just... I got so damn lonely in there by myself.
Really?
Yeah. And you always look so sad, Jude. You look like someone who's been knocked around. Thought maybe I could help.
Yeah, well, if I need help, I'll call the RSPCA, okay?
I've always found that when I was troubled, it really did help to just talk to someone.
Well, it just shows you how different people are.
Yeah. Well, I guess I better get undressed. Must be nearly time for lights out. I hate these clothes. Feels so good to just get out of them. At home, I always sleep in the raw. Much freer, don't you think? Well, I'm ready for bed. But I'm just not tired. Are you?
Sandy, piss off.
Good morning, ladies. Welcome to anyone who's here for the first time.
That wouldn't be hard either.
If you'd all like to sit down, I'll organise you into pairs for the exercise I've planned for today.
Can't get away from her.
Doreen has decided not to show up this morning.
Oh, no, she's finding the classes a bit draining, emotionally.
Well, that's a shame. She could be a good student.
Are you sure that's the only reason you're missing it?
Any discussion on that subject was closed yesterday.
Fair enough.
Excuse me, Mr. Andrews. Hamilton has a visitor.
Maybe it isn't such a bad idea to share with you after all.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
Try and find out who that visitor was.
Right. Well, I'd like to start off by discussing an aspect of one of your favourite subjects, money.
Oh? When do we get to discuss our other favourite subject?
I thought you'd all majored in that already.
How you feeling now, love? Oh, come on, cheer up. It was only a storm in the teacup. It'll blow over.
It won't. You'll never forgive him for what he did to me, Lizzie. He made me look like a fool.
No, he didn't. It was just a misunderstanding.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I quite enjoyed yesterday. I can see how he gets you all in, even if he doesn't mean it personally. He's got a lot of sex appeal.
God, not you too.
Oh, no. He's young enough to be me grandson.
Burns, you've got a visitor in the governor's office.
A visitor for me? Who is it?
A family law court counsellor.
What do they want to see me about?
Your divorce, I suppose.
You tell them I don't need a counsellor or anybody. Just tell them to leave me alone.
Mrs. Davidson told me to get you and bring you to her office. You can fight it out with her. Come on.
Mrs. Powell, you seen Sid?
No, I haven't seen him.
Oh, I'm real worried about him. He said he'd be in here yesterday. Can you find out what's happened to him?
Oh, I'll see what I can do. If I can't get on to him, I'll drop round there this afternoon after work.
Well, we can catch a bus from the corner. It'll only take 5 minutes. And it'll save you parking.
Bus? Bus? Not today. Today you ride in style. Your limousine awaits.
Oh. Well, do you think it'll get us there in one piece?
So long as no one steps on it along the way.
Well, I'm game.
It is Miss Vaughan's job to investigate the situation and determine whether the marriage has broken down irretrievably.
That's right. Compulsory counselling for both parties is required by the family law court.
Well, I don't know about Kevin, but I don't want anyone sticking their nose into my affairs. Just leave us alone and get on with the divorce.
Mrs. Burns, no one likes to see a marriage fail. My report will show what factors were involved that caused the breakdown. Maybe something can be done before it's too late.
Miss Vaughan is trying to help you. There may be certain misunderstandings or conditions that can be cleared up by counselling and perhaps save your marriage.
Look, it's finished. Over. There's nothing anybody can do. What chance did we have of making it with me stuck in here? I was a fool to think it'd work in the first place.
Do you still love your husband?
No.
Were there any other factors involved?
No.
I do understand how difficult this must be for you, and I'm sorry you won't let me try to help you. I'll put in my report and send you a copy.
Thank you.
Well, how long will it be before the divorce comes through?
Case probably won't be heard for a few months.
Will I have to be there?
Oh, there's no question of custody or property settlement. No, it won't be necessary.
Can I go now?
Yes, you may go.
What do you think of this one?
Well, I like that one too.
That's between the tan one and this. Which do you think?
I think this one.
Done. You're the expert. I wasn't even thinking of looking for clothes. Glad you came along. I can never decide. That one, thanks.
Oh, Sid better keep his eye on Lizzie. If he doesn't watch out, she'll be shoving him in the laundry trolley and whisking him off to herself.
Has he come in?
No, not yet. She was just saying she's a bit worried about him. Asked me to find out if he was all right. Oh, the state she's in. I'd say it was more than maternal interest.
Yes, she was on to me about him a couple of times yesterday. Oh, I think it's nice for them both to have someone their own age to talk to.
Yes, so do I. It's good for Sid, too, being on his own, to have an outside interest. Or should that be inside interest? No. No answer. He must be out. I'll drop round there this afternoon after work, just to keep Lizzie happy.
How'd you go? Oh, a waste of time like I knew it would be.
What they want?
They wanted to stick their noses in where it doesn't concern them, just like everybody else.
Probably only trying to help.
Nobody can help. It's over and done with.
Yeah. Sad. You and Kev were beautiful together. I remember when you first met, you were so happy.
Oh, shut up, Lizzie. Just shut up, will you? I don't want to talk about it.
Through that bag of tomatoes and slapped that bad one right back into his hand. I thought he was going to have a fit. It squashed right through his fingers.
Well, he won't be able to sell that one again.
You right?
Yes, thank you. I had a lovely time. Thank you for taking me.
My pleasure. It was fun.
Well, by way of thanks, how about coming over and having dinner tonight?
Yes, that'd be great. I'd better ring home and tell Sue not to bother cooking anything for me. She does night classes tonight, so it'll save her having to rush. Do you want these in the staff room?
Oh, thanks. Oh, David, I've just remembered I can't make it tonight. Well, I completely forgot. I promised a friend of mine I'd call round and see her. She's been sick.
Well, that's a pity. I was looking forward to it. Let's make it some other night, then. Is anything wrong?
I just feel a little stupid while asking you round and forgetting I had an appointment.
Oh, not to worry. We'll catch up with it soon, won't we?
Yes, of course.
Thanks again for coming shopping.
Mr. Andrews looks as though he's been to a sale.
I hope you don't mind, Mrs. Davidson. I changed the rosters. I've put myself down for maternity next week.
Oh, as an inmate or on duty? But why? You've always referred to it as the Siberia of Wentworth.
I just feel like a change.
I've never known you to volunteer for that shift before. Is anything wrong?
Oh, no. No, excuse me. I'm due back on duty.
G'day. Writing your memoirs? Now, I know. Writing up plans for your next escape. You never did tell me what it was like on the outside. It's interesting, really. There you were on the run. Had your chance. Could have gotten away, but deliberately drew attention to yourself.
Will you shut up? What is this, the Inquisition or something? Can't you see I'm working here? Now, if I want conversation, I'll go somewhere and find it.
I'm just interested.
Well, I am not. Now, I'm sick and tired of your questions, Sandy. I don't know who you are, what you want from me, but you're not getting any information from me.
What if I could afford to pay for it?
Bitch. Come on, get out. Come on.
What the bloody hell's going on?
That's exactly what we're going to find out. This is the latest development in the Mystery Ladies quiz show.
Where did that come from?
She offered it to me for information.
Oh, did she now?
So, decided to come out in the open, have you? Well, it's our turn to ask questions and the answers better come thick and fast, otherwise you are going to be carried out here in a stretcher! Now, what department are you working for?
Oh, look, really, this isn't necessary.
What department?
I'm not from any department. I'm a journalist.
What? I'm a journalist. I had myself put in here on those driving charges on purpose. It's an assignment. My boss wanted a follow-up story on Judy's escape and those accusations she made on that videotape, and I offered to do it.
Bloody hell, a journo.
Now, listen. How do we know she's telling the truth? Why didn't you tell us before?
Because I didn't want you to know. In case you tried to get biased information through my newspaper.
Oh, so much for our copper's plant. A journo.
Sid, it's Colleen. Hello, anyone home? Sid? Sid!
Ambulance service, quickly.
He used to give me roses. I wish he could again. But that was on the outside, and things were different then. On the inside, the sun still shines, and the rain falls down. But the sun and rain are prisoners too when morning comes around. Last night I dreamed we were together, sharing all the love we'd known, till I had to face the nightmare of waking up alone. On the inside the roses grow, they don't mind the stony ground, but the roses here are prisoners too when morning comes around.